There's this part in Return to Silent Hill where James and Pyramid Head are in a fight, like they're in close quarters, they're tussling, and James looks into Pyramid Head's Pyramid Head and sees his own eyes looking back at him. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? They're the same guy. They're the same. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this movie is good, okay? I agree with that tweet that I'll post on screen if I can find it, that there are 4 different kinds of movies. Good movie, I liked it. Good movie, I didn't like it. Bad movie, I liked it. Bad movie, I didn't like it. I very much went into Return to Silent Hill expecting to hate it, which I am so certain colored my opinion. I am so sure that I liked it more than it deserves because I expected it to be one kind of bad and it was instead another kind of bad. So that kind of bad is what I want to talk about here. There's just some sort of scattered thoughts about Return to Silent Hill and what I thought about it. Kind of liked it. So far, I have purposefully avoided watching or reading anybody else's reviews because, like James, it's my own pathology that I'm interested in examining here, so I don't want it sullied by anybody else's, but my impression so far is that people like really hate this movie, like really hate it. And if I were to guess why, I think people are probably saying it's pretty cringe, it's shot weird, like it looks cheap, the dialogue is bad, they didn't like the ending, that kind of thing. And to be clear, none of those things are wrong. Like there's a part toward the beginning where James goes, "It's her. It's always been her." It's bad. But also, if I can do a little bit of speculation, the kind of hatred that I'm seeing feels to me like the kind of hatred that happens when people just aren't getting part of what's happening in the movie. Hear that? You just don't like Return to Silent Hill because you just don't get it. Burning my credibility to the ground. But it's like a gag reflex, like, oh God, no, I hate it, get it away from me. I want to pretend this doesn't exist anymore. I do not like this. And that's a perfectly reasonable reaction to have. I am not telling you have to like this movie. I love bad movies. Not everybody does. It's fine. But I think there actually is stuff to like about this movie. And in fact, I think that if you rearranged some aspects about it here or there, it would have the potential to be like really great. God, I can just hear the subscribers bailing as I speak. Okay, so there's one specific filmmaking strategy that I think could seriously elevate this movie, but I want to talk about that last because it's the easiest thing to talk about. And the reason for that is that everything effective in Silent Hill as a franchise is about atmosphere. Video games are very, very hard to adapt, famously so. And to me, Silent Hill involves all the reasons why. The main reason is that one of the biggest differences between film and video games as artistic media is that video games are a personal experience, while movies are a voyeuristic experience. When you play a video game, you are transported into the experience of the main character in a way that movies just can't do. I think a lot of people discount that because there's this really pervasive ideology around film as a technology that's existed since it was invented, where people kind of think film is like, like on the way to a holodeck experience. Like a really good movie should make you feel transported or, immersed. Immersive is the buzzword right now. And it's just never going to happen for film. Sorry. Like you play a video game and the majority of what the protagonist is doing is something you are also doing at the same time. You're telling them what to do. There's no movie that's going to give you an experience such that when you talk about it later, you refer to their weapon as my crowbar. You know what I mean? And the kind of horror that Silent Hill is doing relies on that feeling that this is you doing these things, like it's you going to the town, it's you discovering all this stuff, it's you fighting the monsters, it's you having these experiences in some way. What did I ever do to deserve this? Fuck you all! I don't even know how to get out of the house now. I'm flustered. Kitchen knife. Yes. Okay. So much of these games is played in a way that feels extremely constricted to the point of frustration. Like most of the time, the things happening on screen are barely visible. Silent Hill 2 is mostly played in like the 4-foot diameter of light visible from your flashlight. That's so frustrating. It's part of what makes that game really scary. But like that level of frustration, I think, is really key to achieving the kind of horror that game is doing. And that kind of horror is just not really achievable in the same way in film. You know, like seeing everything within just the beam of a flashlight is really effective for a game, but in a movie, like it would be almost unbearable to watch, you know, to say nothing of how difficult it would be to film. Silent Hill is also a very spare game. So much of those games depends on subtext and implication. People are never really saying what they mean, or if they are saying what they mean, then they're never really heard properly. And like the reason that those games do that is because Silent Hill as a franchise is about what it feels like to lose your mind. That's why people in Silent Hill games don't really make sense. Like there's always something a little uncanny about other human beings in those games. There's so much going on in Silent Hill 2, but I think part of the reason it's such a favorite is because Eddie and Angela are also there and also losing it for completely different reasons than James, and you can see moments that make it really clear that what he's going through makes as little sense to them as they do to him.
I don't know why I think she's here. She died 3 years ago.
She's dead?
Look at this. On my way in the theater, the ticket guy showed me these postcards and he's like, hey, you know, we're giving these out to promote the movie. Do you want one? And I was like, I'm good. And then on the way out, I went back to the counters specifically to ask for a postcard. Wish you were here. You understand what it takes for me to seek out an interaction like that, where I'm begging for promotional material? It was a bad movie. I liked it. It feels very much like the kind of bad movie that would have come out in the early 2000s, which, as I've argued before, was the last time we had a real honest to God B-movie culture. And we got all these movies that sort of etched themselves onto our consciousness, not necessarily because they were any good, but because there was just some sort of something in it that was really effective, like a moment or some kind of filmmaking strategy that really hit for whatever reason. Cult movies are a real fixation of mine because I think that really interesting things can emerge artistically when something is undermanaged or even managed poorly. The 2006 Silent Hill movie, I think, kind of qualifies as a cult film by now, to the point where I think people are kind of starting to misremember the 2006 version and how much everybody hated that one when it came out. Like nowadays, it's kind of fashionable to say that movie was actually really good. And I feel like it's worth reminding people that, hey, no, it isn't. Silent Hill is neither a very good movie nor a very good adaptation. Its plot doesn't really make sense. Like, what is this ending about? Are they ghosts? Like, did they die in the car crash or what? Like, are they stuck in the town? What's happening here? Like, its dialogue is quite bad.
Mother is God in the eyes of a child.
But worse than both those things, the first Silent Hill is way too rationalized. It's basically structured like a murder mystery, which means that the thing that made the franchise so famous and that I think people are really looking for in any adaptation of it, that recreation of the feeling of going insane, is not present at all. And that really negatively affects the way that most of that movie works. Like, it makes no sense for Bubblehead Nurses or Pyramid Head to be here because those are specifically James monsters. Those are psychosexual projections of how he understands the world and his own role in it. They have nothing to do with Alessa. And that's the thing that I think Return to Silent Hill does better than the 2006 version. I think it kind of nails the surreality of other people specifically. It's just that it's doing that in ways that are different from the games because film works with different rules than games do. A movie can't be nearly as long. It can't be nearly as subtle because of that voyeurism thing. So it has to make different choices to get its point across. I live tweeted this because I was the only one in the theater. And about 10 minutes in, I said, the way this is written so far, weird and corny as it is, actually kind of works. It's very fever dream, the eye of the storm of a decaying mind, not an inappropriate vibe at all. I stand by that. This movie feels feels like you're watching James's version of what has happened to him. Like, not how everything is necessarily, but how everything feels to him. I think one of the things about mental illness that doesn't appear in movies often enough, because it's really uncomfortable and really hard to pull off, is that losing your mind almost invariably means having like a super cringe and embarrassing understanding of things, because you're not looking at the world clearly. Everything is filtered through a sieve that gets just more and more opaque the farther you fall into yourself. So all your joys are just the most beautiful thing anyone's ever experienced, and all your losses are the absolute worst thing that's ever happened to anyone. Everything becomes ultra melodramatic in scope and scale, even if it's just normal people shit, just stuff everybody goes through. Like, nothing makes any sense except symbolically. If you make it out of that position, I think it's very easy to look back and think like, oh God, did people see me acting like that? And that's kind of the vibe I get from this movie. Like, everything is just so awash in artifice. Everything is way too colorful. It's too smoothed over. It's too like it's just clownishly sinister. Like the cult in this movie and all the cult members, all the previous denizens of Silent Hill are just cartoonishly evil. There's no subtlety to any of this. But like, man, I think that I think that could work. I think it could work in different hands, or if it was rearranged a little differently. In this version, James is an artist, and I think that's a pretty obvious decision to make, but for that reason, I think it's a decision that also kind of works. Like, it underscores that he is a person who was already prone to thinking of things and people primarily in terms of their aesthetics and symbolism. And now that his mind is unraveling, that tendency is just getting kind of just like a tool that's getting blunter and blunter. Like, I can see somewhere in this movie the potential for the like a similar kind of aesthetic David Lynch was working with, where everything is like ultra heightened and garish and just ridiculous, and that's where the horror comes from.
We've met before, haven't we?
By far, the biggest problem I have with this movie is the monsters. They suck. They suck. And they suck in a way that makes me baffled and sad, because far and away the best thing about the first Silent Hill movie is the creature work. It is absolutely stunning, and it holds up really well, even if the monsters themselves feel like kind of an afterthought plot-wise. The monsters in Return to Silent Hill also feel like an afterthought, but this time they look really bad. They look so bad, and I'm struggling super hard to understand why, because not only is the director for both these movies the same, but the designer and choreographer are also the same. What the fuck happened? They're CGI'd to shit is part of what happened. Apparently they did hire dancers as creature actors like they did with the first one, which is an excellent decision, but you can see in the making of clips that the costumes they're putting them in are designed to not look good on camera. They're designed to be cleaned up in post.
And you just like need to make it less human. So we sped it up and like make it way thinner, painted out some stuff, and that basically already gave us the final creature.
I think a couple things result from this. One is that relying on CG is a great way to make any shots you want to add super expensive. Like, in the scope of production costs, it might not be significantly cheaper to rely on practical effects. Like, your budget might not be that much smaller if you're doing practical effects as opposed to CG. But if a puppet or a costume or makeup, whatever, is designed to look good on set, you don't have to be so precious about how many shots you're including of them. It's just a matter of resetting the camera. In this, because the monsters are so heavily adjusted, it feels like the camera doesn't want to linger too long on them. Like, it doesn't want you to look at the monsters for like a second more than you have to, and that super sucks. Obviously, the other result of this is just that the monsters look too fake. Like, I think it's really important for a Silent Hill movie, and especially this Silent Hill movie, movie for the monsters to feel like the most real thing on screen. That's part of the thing that Silent Hill as a franchise is saying about mental illness, that if you don't make it out of whatever you're going through enough to put your mind back together, then eventually the only solid, true thing that feels like it exists in the world is degradation and humiliation and suffering and fear. Everything just becomes filth and obscenity and pain. And that's what the monsters are. They are representations of what a really unwell mind sees the world as. Ultimately, the effect that the games are creating, that I think any adaptation has to match, is that the people don't make sense in Silent Hill games, but the monsters kind of do. Like, they're awful to look at. They're horrible to deal with, but the kind of danger they present is very clear and present in a way that's almost a relief. Like, they have rules, the monsters. You can kill them. It's so clear what you're supposed to do with them. What they're capable of is awful, but they're only capable of so much, whereas people are really unpredictable and frightening for that reason. So in 2006, you can see the human in the performances, and that aspect of them makes them seem almost hyper real. Like, the way they move is very artful. Even the way they're edited it's like they're trying to highlight an interpretive dance of what these monsters represent psychologically, even though they're in the wrong movie. And it's so cool. It looks so good. In 2006, that's kind of ruined with the dumb plot that's attached to it, because it means that the monsters are having to compete with the people who act like real people. In Return to Silent Hill, the monsters have all the space in the world to be really effective, but are absolutely ruined with CG. But I submit to the court that if the monsters were done the same way as in 2006, this movie would have fucking ripped. I would be sitting here telling you this movie is good and you should go see it. You shouldn't. It's a bad movie, but it might be worth like just putting on in the background when it shows up on streaming. Like, if you really want to feel like you're at a sleepover in 7th grade and you're trying to stay awake at 2 a.m., it's that kind of movie. It is making such wild decisions, and so many of those decisions are so bad. But like, I think what this really comes down to for me is that at least it's making decisions. You know what I mean? Like, at least it's not just focus grouped to fuck and choosing the most inoffensive aesthetic directions possible. Like, it feels like these are bad decisions made by actual people. It's really disturbing how refreshing that is. I'm really not sure how to end this. I didn't really plan an ending. I just wanted to talk about this weird movie for a little bit, if that's okay. Bad movie. I kind of liked it.